Listen, there is no place for you in our family. Her voice was rising, filling with uncontrollable rage. Suddenly, she reached for something behind her. It was then Amanda noticed the pestle. Her heart raced. "What are you doing, Mama? Put that down. This is all you understand," she yelled. Swinging the pestle, Amanda tried to dodge, but it was too late. Pain shot through her as the pestle connected with her arms. She cried out, collapsing to the floor. "You are nothing, Amanda. Nothing," she screamed.
I see you, my heart beats, a lady of all men's dreams.
This is Amanda. Before I continue, please consider subscribing to the channel for more stories like this one. Now, let me take you through a chapter of Amanda's life that changed everything. Living in a modest home, Alex and Amanda had what you might call a peaceful life. Well, mostly, Amanda always knew she couldn't have kids, and while it's been a tough pill to swallow, Alex stood by her. He's kind, but sometimes he's just too passive, especially when it comes to his mom, Mrs. Ben. "Amanda, I support you no matter what, right?" Alex will often reassure her, but words fell empty when actions didn't follow. Mrs. Ben, Alex's mom, was a whole different story. She is in her 60s and had the stern look that could freeze you into spot. Traditional to the core, she believed in carrying on the family lineage like it was some sacred duty. So, imagine her disappointment in Amanda's inability to give her grandchildren. It was a beautiful Sunday morning and the air was tense. From the start, the turkey was perfect, the table was set, but none of that mattered to Mrs. Ben. Amanda caught her glancing her way, her eyes like daggers to Amanda. "So, still no good news?" She started, her voice dripping with disapproval. Amanda tried to brush it off with a weak smile, but it stung every time. "Mom, let us not get into this now," Alex said. "But he might as well have been talking to the wall." "Oh, I'm sorry, I am not allowed to express my concern for my family's future." Mrs. Ben's voice rose. Her hands firm on her hips. The tension was unbearable. Amanda wanted to scream, to tell her how much her words hurt, but she just sat there, fiddling with her napkin. "It's not Amanda's fault, you know that." Alex's voice was soft, almost pleading, but it's her duty, Alex. A duty she's failing. Mrs. Ben wasn't holding back. "Our family name, our legacy. What about that?" Amanda could feel the tears welling up. "I'm sorry, I'm such a disappointment to you." Her voice barely above a whisper. "Disappointment? Oh, honey, you are more than that. You are a failure to this family." Her words cut through Amanda. Alex stood up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. "That's enough, Mom. Enough. I haven't even started." She was on a roll, her anger palpable. Everyone else at the table was silent, their eyes darting back and forth between Amanda and Mrs. Ben. Amanda felt so small, so helpless. Why couldn't Alex stand up for her? More family. Why did it always have to come to this? This family deserves grandchildren, and if Amanda can't provide them, maybe you need to find someone who can. She spat out the words like venom. That was it. Amanda couldn't take it anymore. Standing up, her chair toppled over. "I may not be able to have children, but at least I have a heart. Something you are clearly lacking." The room went silent. Alex's face was a mixture of shock and sadness. He knew Amanda was right, but he also knew this was a battle Amanda couldn't win. "I think we should leave," Amanda whispered to Alex. Stepping out, she couldn't be in that house a moment longer. As they drove home, the car was silent except for the sound of her quiet sobbing. Alex reached over, squeezing her hand. "I'm sorry, Amanda. I really am." Amanda wanted to scream, to tell him that sorry wasn't enough, that she needed him to stand by her, to defend her, but she didn't. She just stared out the window, watching the street lights blur as they drove through the night. That Sunday marked the beginning of a change, a bitter revelation of where she stood, not just with Mrs. Ben, but with Alex too. It was clear she was on her own in this, and if she was going to survive it, she needed to be stronger for herself. That's just the start of her story. Stick around for what comes next, and don't forget to like and subscribe. One cold evening, Amanda was alone at home. Alex was working late again, and she was curled up with a book when she heard a knock. Reluctantly, she opened the door, and there she was, Mrs. Ben, her face twisted in anger. "You've ruined everything, Amanda. Our family's name, our legacy is all on your shoulder." Amanda sighed, tired of the constant blame game. "I am not the enemy here. I can't control nature." That's just an excuse, she cut off, stepping inside. "You are so selfish, Amanda. You don't want to give my son a child, and you don't want to step out of the way. This whole thing is about what's possible for us. For me, you've turned my son against me. You've destroyed the fabrics of our family. Your son loves you, but he also loves me. Can't you see how this is tearing him apart?" Amanda pleaded, hoping for a shred of reason. "There is no place for you in our family." Her voice was rising, filling with uncontrollable rage. Suddenly, she reached for something behind her. It was then Amanda noticed the pestle. Her heart raced. "What are you doing, Mama? Put that down. This is all you understand," she yelled. Swinging the pestle, Amanda tried to dodge, but it was too late. Pain shot through her as the pestle connected with her arms. She cried out, collapsing to the floor. "You are nothing, Amanda. Nothing," she screamed, standing over her, gasping for breath. Amanda managed to pull out her phone and call the police. "Help, please," she whispered into the receiver before everything went black. The next thing she remembered is waking up in the hospital. Her arm was bandaged, the pain a constant reminder of what had happened. Alex was there, his face etched with worry and guilt. "Amanda, I am so sorry. I never thought she would. I should have been there." It was hard to look at him, to see the conflict in his eyes. "Alex, she could have killed me. I know, I know. I've been so blind." His voice broke. "She's been arrested. I don't know what's going to happen next." Lying there, everything felt surreal. The woman who was supposed to be her family had turned into her attacker. She felt fear, anger, and a deep sense of helplessness. And Alex, torn between his mother and his wife, was struggling to find where his loyalties lay. "Amanda, I will do whatever it takes to make this right." She wanted to believe him, to find comfort in his words, but something had shifted inside her. She realized that no matter what Alex did now, it wouldn't erase the scars, both physical and emotional. The news of Mrs. Ben's arrest spread like wildfire throughout the community. Some were shocked, others whispered behind closed doors. As for Amanda, she was just trying to piece herself together, wondering what her future held. Therapists asked her about how she was feeling. Amanda, sitting in the therapist's office, she felt like a bundle of nerves. It's one thing to be hurt physically, but the emotional scars, they run deeper. "I am angry, confused and scared," she admitted, the words tasting bitter. It's okay to feel that way after what you've been through. The therapist was kind, but her words often felt like band-aids on a wound that needed stitches. Back at home, things with Alex were different. The incident with his mom had left a gap between them that seemed to widen each day. "Why don't you talk to me, Amanda? What are you thinking?" Alex's concern was genuine, but it felt like he was miles away. "I don't know, Alex. It's hard to put into words." She was struggling, fighting a battle inside her. "I want to help you. I really do." His words, though sincere, felt like echoes in an empty room. It was during one of these long silent evenings that an idea struck her. She needed to do something not just for her, but for others like her. Amanda thought of starting a support group for people who face domestic violence. The words came out before she even realized it. "That's great, Amanda." But could Amanda see the doubt in his eyes? Was it concern or just the reflection of his own helplessness? The first meeting of the support group was in a small community center. Amanda was nervous, her hands trembling as she set up chairs in a circle. "Welcome everyone, I am Amanda and I've been where you are now." Her voice was shaky but grew steadier. With each word, one by one, they shared their story. It felt like a dam had broken and years of pain and fear poured out. And with each story, Amanda felt a little piece of her strength returning. Ellis came to one of the meetings. He sat at the back quietly, just listening. After the meeting, he came up to Amanda. "I had no idea, Amanda. The strength you showed, all show, is incredible." She smiled, a small sad smile. "It is not about strength, Alex. It's about survival." That night, she lay in bed, thoughts racing. The gap between Alex and her wasn't just about his mom anymore. It was about them, who they were and who they are becoming. "I need to find who I am, Alex. I can't just be your wife or Mrs. Ben's daughter-in-law. I need to be Amanda." The words were hard, but they needed to be said. Alex was quiet. "I understand, Amanda. I just wish I could make things better." "But you can't, Alex. Some things I just need to do on my own." It was a realization that was as painful as it was liberating. Days turned into weeks, and the support group grew each meeting. Each story, each shared tears and laugh. They were like threads weaving a new fabrics of her life. A life where she wasn't just a victim, but a survivor, a helper, sitting in the community center, watching the group. Amanda realized something important. This right here was her turning point. From victim to survivor, from broken to rebuilding. This was her journey, and it was just beginning when she heard Mrs. Ben might get off. Something in her snapped. She started collecting every piece of evidence, every record of her past abuse. She was going to make sure she faced the consequences. The day of the court hearing was a blur. Her hands were shaking as she held her notes, but her resolve was firm. She could see Alex in the back, his face a mix of worry and support. "Mrs. Ben, how do you plead?" the judge asked, his voice echoing in the silent room. "Not guilty," she replied, her voice steady but her hands trembling. It was Amanda's turn to speak. Standing up, she felt every eye in the room on her. "I want to tell you about the kind of person Mrs. Ben is," she began, her voice surprisingly steady. Not just what she did to her, but how she's been all these years. She recounted everything, every incident, every cruel word Mrs. Ben had used on her. Mrs. Ben's lawyer tried to object, but the judge waved him off. "Let her speak. This is important." Amanda spoke about the Sunday lunch incident, the unprovoked attack, the fear and the pain. She could see some people in the courtroom wiping away tears. "Mrs. Ben, do you have anything to say in your defense?" The judge turned to her. She stood up, her face a mark of defiance. "I did what I thought was right for my family. I was protecting our legacy. By assaulting your daughter-in-law?" The judge's voice was incredulous. "I've always done what's necessary for my family," but her voice was less confident. The judge looked at Amanda, then at Mrs. Ben, and then back to his notes. The room was so quiet, you could hear a pin drop. After what seemed like an eternity, he spoke. "Based on the evidence and the testimony presented here, I am sentencing Mrs. Ben to a significant prison term." The courtroom erupted in whisper. Mrs. Ben looked stunned. Her lawyer rushed to her side. As for Amanda, she felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. Justice had been served, but at what cost? As Amanda left the courtroom, Alex came up to her. "Amanda, you were amazing in there." She looked at him, a small smile on her face. "It's not over yet, Alex. This is just a step." Walking out of the courthouse, she felt the weight of the past few months lifting slightly. She had stood up for herself, faced her fear, and come out stronger. But she also knew this was just the beginning of a longer journey, one where she had to find out who she was beyond the shadow of Mrs. Ben. The community was overwhelming. People she barely knew were commending her bravely. It was heartening, but deep down, something felt amiss. "I am proud of you, Amanda. You really showed everyone what you are made of," Alex said one evening, trying to break the unspoken tension that had settled between them. "I appreciate that, Alex, but I feel like everything's changed. This house, everything. Alex, I need to start over, rediscover who I am, and I can't do that here," Amanda said, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. They both knew it was the end of their journey. That night, as Amanda looked up at the sky, she felt a profound sense of purpose. Life had thrown its words at her, but here she was, standing strong, ready for whatever comes next. So, here's to a new beginning, to finding strength in the darkness of times, and to being the beacon of hope for others. This is not the end, but just the beginning of a new chapter. Thank you so much for being part of the story. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Remember, every ending is just the start of something new. We just witnessed the conclusion of Amanda's powerful story, a tale of struggling resilience and new beginning. As we reflect on her journey, I would like to pose a question that might resonate with many of us. Considering Amanda's challenging experiences with Mrs. Ben and the strain it put on her relationship with Alex, do you think her choice to leave Alex and forge a new path was essential for her personal growth and healing? Or do you believe that Amanda and Alex could have walked through the issues together, finding strength in their shared struggles to rebuild a stronger, more understanding relationship? This question delves into the complex nature of relationship, trauma, and personal growth. Your insights and opinion are valuable, so please share them in the comments below as we wrap up the story. If you enjoy the journey, I'll appreciate it if you hit the like button. It helps us more than you know. And to those of you that have subscribed to our channel, thank you so much. And to those who haven't subscribed yet, consider joining our channel. Your subscription supports the creation of more content like this and keep our community growing. Let's continue to explore these deep, impactful stories together. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to share your thoughts. Till I see you again in my next story. Goodbye.